In previous lessons, we explored Arizona's anti-deficiency statute and how it protects qualifying homeowners from post-foreclosure financial liability. Now, we turn to the foreclosure process itself, specifically the redemption periods that define when and how a borrower can reclaim ownership of a property after a foreclosure sale. Understanding these redemption rights is crucial because they represent the final opportunity for a borrower to retain ownership and the last step in the lender's recovery of debt. In Arizona, there are two main types of foreclosure proceedings: judicial foreclosure and non-judicial foreclosure. The type of foreclosure determines the borrower's rights and the applicable redemption period. A judicial foreclosure is processed through the court system and typically applies to mortgages or other forms of debt secured by property. It begins when a lender files a lawsuit to foreclose on the property, obtaining a court judgment that orders the property to be sold at a sheriff's sale. After this sale, the borrower, also called the debtor, has a statutory right of redemption, allowing them to repurchase the property within a certain time frame by paying the full amount owed, including accrued interest and fees. According to ARS, paragraph 12 in 1282, the redemption period for a judicial foreclosure depends on the circumstances. If the property is abandoned or not used for agricultural purposes, the redemption period is 30 days from the date of sale. If the property is occupied or used for agriculture, the redemption period extends to 6 months. This distinction reflects Arizona's public policy favoring the preservation of primary residences and working agricultural properties. For example, a family farm foreclosed upon in rural Pinal County would allow a 6-month redemption window, while an abandoned investment property in Phoenix would allow only 30 days. In contrast, a non-judicial foreclosure, known as a trustee's sale, is governed by ARS, paragraph 33807, and applies to properties secured by a deed of trust. This process is much faster and does not involve the courts. Instead, a trustee, acting on behalf of the lender, records a notice of trustee's sale at least 91 days before the sale date. Once the trustee's sale occurs and the property is sold to the highest bidder, there is no statutory redemption period. The sale is final, and the former owner loses all rights of redemption. This difference is significant. Under a mortgage foreclosure, a borrower has time after the sale to redeem the property. But under a deed of trust foreclosure, redemption rights end before the sale even takes place. Borrowers under a deed of trust have until the day before the trustee's sale to reinstate the loan by paying the amount in default, including late fees and costs, under ARS, paragraph 33 on Trine. After the sale occurs, ownership transfers immediately to the successful bidder, and the trustee issues a trustee's deed upon sale, conveying title free of any borrower redemption rights. To illustrate, imagine a homeowner in Mesa whose property is foreclosed through a trustee's sale due to unpaid mortgage payments. The homeowner receives a notice of sale 91 days before the auction. If they secure funds before the sale date and bring the loan current, they can reinstate the mortgage and stop the sale. However, if the sale proceeds, the property transfers immediately to the highest bidder, usually the lender, and the borrower has no right to repurchase it afterward. Another scenario involves a property foreclosed through judicial action. Suppose a lender in Tucson obtains a foreclosure judgment on a property secured by a traditional mortgage, rather than a deed of trust. After the sheriff's sale, the borrower has 6 months to redeem the property by paying the judgment amount. If the property was vacant, however, the redemption period shortens to 30 days. During this period, the borrower may remain in possession unless otherwise ordered by the court. It is essential for licensees to understand these distinctions so they can accurately explain general foreclosure timelines to clients. However, they must avoid interpreting legal rights or giving case-specific advice, as outlined under Commissioner's Rule R428-1101B. When homeowners inquire about their redemption options, Agents should provide factual information about general timeframes and direct them to a qualified real estate attorney for specific guidance. The Arizona Supreme Court case, Maine I Lakered Partnership Gifasi, Venture Capital Construction, 1987, clarified that the redemption right is purely statutory and must be exercised strictly within the prescribed time limits. If the redemption period expires, the borrower's ownership rights are permanently terminated. This reinforces the importance of understanding timelines and acting promptly. Discussion. Why is there no redemption period after a trustee's sale in Arizona? Answer. Because a trustee's sale is a non-judicial process that transfers title immediately upon sale, leaving no legal right for the borrower to reclaim the property afterward. What determines whether a borrower has a 30-day or 6-month redemption period following a judicial foreclosure? Answer. Whether the property was abandoned or occupied, and whether it was used for agricultural purposes at the time of foreclosure. What can a borrower do before a trustee's sale to stop the foreclosure and retain their property? Answer. The borrower may reinstate the loan by paying all amounts in default, including fees, before the scheduled sale date. Review summary. Arizona's foreclosure laws distinguish sharply between judicial and non-judicial foreclosures, each with its own redemption rules. In a judicial foreclosure, the borrower retains a post-sale right to redeem the property, either 30 days for abandoned property or 6 months for occupied or agricultural land. In a non-judicial foreclosure conducted through a trustee's sale, there is no redemption period after the sale. Ownership transfers immediately to the purchaser. Borrowers under a deed of trust, however, may reinstate their loan up until the day before the sale. Real estate professionals must understand these procedures and timelines to provide accurate general information to clients while remaining compliant with the Arizona Department of Real Estate's professional conduct standards.